Before Mufasa became a king, before Scar betrayed the throne, and before Simba was even born, there was another lion whose choices shaped everything. He was Maso, and he was Mufasa's father. He wasn't just a father, he was a protector, a teacher, and a lion who truly believed in peace. But one day, everything changed. A flood came rushing into their home. The skies opened up and the river roared with power. Maso saw the danger and leaped into action. His mate, Apai, tried to keep Mufasa safe, but the current was too strong and their little cub was slipping away. Maso didn't think twice. He dove in after his son. He managed to throw Mufasa to safety onto a set of rocks just before the water swept him away. His final act wasn't just brave, it was a sacrifice. And that sacrifice didn't just save a life, it changed the entire Pride Lands. Mufasa was just a cub. One moment he was playing in the sunshine, and the next, he was alone in a strange land, soaked, scared, and without his parents. That's when Taka found him. Taka, who had one day become Scar, was just a cub too. He pulled Mufasa away from a crocodile attack and brought him back to his father's pride. The lions there didn't know who Mufasa was. Some didn't trust him. But Taka's mother took him in. She raised him, trained him, and helped him become strong. Even though Mufasa never forgot his real parents, he learned to survive in a new pride. Without Maso to guide him, Mufasa had to figure things out on his own. But even then, he kept something close. His father's last words, his values, and that feeling of being protected. Growing up side by side, Mufasa and Taka were like brothers. They hunted together, trained together, and dreamed together. But even then, the cracks had started to form. Taka always felt second best. He saw how the others looked at Mufasa, how they listened to him, how they followed his lead. And part of him couldn't help but feel invisible. It wasn't Mufasa's fault. He didn't ask to be in the spotlight. But without his father around to teach him balance and humility, and without Obasi, Taka's father, showing any warmth, the two cubs started to grow apart. This silent distance would grow into something much darker. Even as Mufasa grew older, he never gave up hope that his parents might still be out there, especially his mother. So one day, he left with Taka to find Mele, a place his parents had always spoken of, a land of peace, wisdom, and second chances. The journey was long and dangerous. Along the way, they met Sarabi, who had lost her own pride in an attack by a group of ruthless lions called the Outsiders. These lions followed a cruel leader named Kairos, who believed that he should rule all prides. When Mufasa heard Kairos' name, something stirred in him. Maybe it wasn't just the flood that ended his family. Maybe there was more to the story. When they finally reached Mele, Mufasa couldn't believe his eyes. Standing at the edge of the cliffs was his mother. They ran to each other, and for a moment, time stopped. But the joy didn't last long. She told him the truth. His father hadn't made it. He never made it to Mele. The flood had taken him. Mufasa broke down. He'd always hoped, always wondered, but now it was real. His father was gone. But his mother told him something he would never forget. "He lives on in you," she whispered. Those words would follow Mufasa for the rest of his life. Even after hearing the truth, Mufasa didn't let grief take over. Instead, he remembered what his father stood for: bravery, wisdom, and love. His father may have been gone, but everything he believed in still lived inside of his son. With his mother's blessing, Mufasa stayed a little while longer. He helped the lionesses rebuild. He trained beside Sarabi, and slowly, the lion who had once been a lost cub began to grow into a future king. But something was shifting in Taka. Taka watched as Mufasa was praised, loved, and followed. Even though Taka had saved Mufasa from that crocodile long ago, even though they had grown up together, it always seemed like Mufasa was one step ahead. And when Queen Jana, the wise ruler of Mele, said Mufasa should lead the pride one day, it was too much for Taka to take. That's when Taka made a choice, a dangerous one. He secretly led Kairos and the Outsiders to Mele. He left a trail for them to follow. In his mind, it wasn't betrayal, it was balance. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted someone, anyone, to finally say, "You matter too." But things did not go according to plan. When the outsiders arrived, it was chaos. Kairos and his lions attacked without mercy, but Mufasa didn't panic. He stood tall and called on everyone to stand together. Sarabi led the lionesses into the fight. Even the animals of melee joined in. It was Mufasa's leadership that turned the tide. He didn't just fight, he inspired. The outsiders were defeated, but not without cost. Queen Jana was wounded, and Kairos vanished into the shadows, vowing revenge. After the battle, Queen Jana passed her crown to Mufasa. She knew he was ready. But Mufasa wasn't sure, not after what Taka had done. Taka had helped the enemy. He had betrayed their trust, and even though he saved Mufasa from Kairos during the final battle, the damage was done. Mufasa made a decision. He would let Taka stay, but he would no longer say his name. That name was a reminder of the pain, the betrayal, the scar it left behind. And so, Taka became Scar. It was the moment everything changed. Two brothers, once inseparable, now stood on opposite sides of the future. With Sarabi by his side, Mufasa returned to the land of his birth. He brought the peace and wisdom of melee back with him. And from that day forward, the Pride Lands became a place where the circle of life truly meant something. Mufasa became king, not because of blood or power, but because of the lessons that he'd learned. He ruled with strength, but also with heart. He protected the weak, he listened to the wise, and he never forgot where he came from. But deep inside, he always carried two things: his father's courage and his brother's shadow. Years later, when Simba was born, Mufasa saw hope again. He saw a future. He taught Simba about everything: the stars, the land, the circle of life. He wanted to pass on the lessons that Maso never had a chance to teach him. He wanted Simba to grow up strong, but also kind. And when Simba asked about his grandfather, Mufasa told him something simple yet powerful. He was brave, and he loved us more than anything. That was enough. And then history repeated itself. When Scar caused the wildebeest stampede and Simba was trapped, Mufasa didn't hesitate. Just like Maso once did for him, Mufasa jumped into danger to save his son. He lifted Simba to safety, but he didn't escape himself. Scar, waiting above, let Mufasa fall. Just like before, a father gave his life for his son. Only this time, the betrayal came from within. Even though Mufasa died, his story didn't end. Just like Apai once told Mufasa, Rafiki reminded Simba, he lives in you. Simba may not have understood it at first, but with time, he came to see the truth. His father's voice, his strength, and his values were still guiding him, even from the stars. Mufasa became more than a memory. He became a part of the circle of life, just like Maso had once been for him. What do you think would have happened if Maso had survived the flood? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, Hakuna Matata.